What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for a late night update for you guys. Just finished the Germany-Scotland watch-along, and we saw all this news breaking, so we thought it'd be rude not to give you an update on it. Regarding Eberechi Eze, Peter O'Rourke broke something, and he said Manchester United and Tottenham are ready to pay 60 million plus to land Crystal Palace winger Eberechi Eze this summer. And then Paul O'Keefe tweeted, and he said he understands Crystal Palace's stance on Eberechi Eze is that if any club will need to be prepared to pay a considerable amount of a fee up front, and the fee in total could exceed £60 million. On release clauses, it's worth noting, triggering the amount only gains you permission to speak to the player. The specific details can vary, such as X amount initial payment, whereas others might have specific value. They can often be poorly drafted and open to interpretation. Then he said Tottenham are now considering their move for Eze, as he is one of our most desired targets this summer.
I mean, I guess the positive thing is it definitely seems as though Eze is a serious target for us this summer, and that's from the reports. It seems like, as Paul O'Keefe was saying, he's one of the most desired targets, and that's really, really encouraging to hear that we're going for that kind of calibre of player, considering we've been saying on this channel, you know, getting people like Werner isn't going to move the needle for us as much as it can add depth and as much as understand the reasons why we've brought him in. We know that signing Timo Werner isn't going to get us close to the top three. Now, we know Eze is. He's the kind of player that Tottenham really should be looking at to close that gap to the bigger clubs, and the kind of signing that makes a statement. Now, it's traditionally Tottenham don't pay all that money up front. They don't like to spend 60 million all in one go. They like to have staggered payments, instalment, all these kind of things. This isn't a surprise. To be fair, not just Tottenham, I think most Premier League clubs in this day and age probably operate in that way. That's how financials usually work. But if Tottenham are going to land Eze, if Tottenham are serious about beating the competition to get him through the door, if they're serious about beating the likes of Man United to him and getting a deal agreed by Crystal Palace, that's what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to have to stop all this talking and fake kind of ambition. We're going to have to kind of stop saying, well, this instalment, that's instalment, if he scored 30 goals and you add 10 million if he plays this amount of games. No, we want him. There's the clause is there. They want the money up front. You put your money where your mouth is and you get him through the door, because players like Eze don't come around every day. Players like Eze are not always available. It's only rare occasions. It's all about timing sometimes.
Yeah.
And there are times like these where you just got to pull the trigger, and more often than not in these situations we've let it pass us by. But someone like him, we have to pull the trigger.
I mean, we've let him pass us by before. We were interested in him when he was at QPR, and he ended up going to Palace. But I am on my hands and knees for this to happen. I've said it multiple times. He's been my number one target, my number one option, the guy who I wanted in the most in this transfer window. So I really hope that these talks, these rumours, these updates do come to fruition. It's positive that Paul O'Keefe's talking about it. Peter O'Rourke as well has got a few things right of late. He's the one that broke the Chris Davis news about him moving to Birmingham. So it is pointing in the right direction and positive signs that these people are talking about this deal. I think he fits into Spurs really well. Like I said a number of times, really good competition for Maddison in that number 10. Really good competition for Sonny on that left-hand side as well. And that does, if we do buy Eze, then that really does make Werner a third-choice option on the left wing.
If Man United and Spurs both agree a deal, do you reckon Spurs have a tough job convincing him that Tottenham's the right place for him?
Well, I've heard with Eberechi Eze that he values staying in London a lot because of his family, very close ties with family, been in London his whole life, pretty much, QPR, then Crystal Palace. And I've read various different sources saying that he wants to stay in London.
Yeah, and also if you just look at the project, obviously United now confirming Ten Hag is staying. You saw the way they were playing last season compared to, I know Tottenham ended the season badly, but the way Spurs at times were playing under Ange, and they're building something maybe, hopefully, which is going to be to a higher standard than Man United, although Man United did end up winning the FA Cup. And also when you look at the team, how they line up, United do have Rashford still there on the left wing. They've got Bruno Fernandes who plays the number 10. So will he find it not more difficult to get in the United team and Spurs teams, because I think he's better than Rashford. I think he gets in both teams. But would he be looking at Tottenham thinking there I really see myself where I'm fitting in? Whereas at Man United is like, Rashford's their star boy, Bruno's their one of their main players. Are they just signing me to fill the squad, or am I signing to be a main player?
I think you can make the same argument in terms of that argument as you can make for Spurs and Manchester United. They've got Bruno and Rashford. We've got Sonny and Maddison, also 2 star players in our team and in the same position. So I don't think that will deter him from moving. What I think that the only thing that Man U have the edge over us is the wages that they'll pay, because I think if he was to go to Man United and he really wanted it, he could probably squeeze 300 grand a week out of them, something like that.
Well, you say that, but I think they're trying to be a bit smarter with how they run their finances, and I think one of their main things is not giving crazy contracts anymore to convince players to come and have a bit of a wage structure. And I think they're trying to get all the players on big wages off their books. So I do wonder where those what kind of wages they would be offering, if it'd be much more than us. I do think they'll probably offer more, but I don't think it's going to be 300. I think if we're offering, I don't know, maybe 120, 130, maybe 150 at a push, maybe they would offer like closer to 200 rather than.
I'm just seeing what his wages are at Palace. He did sign quite a big contract, didn't he?
I think it was over. I think it's 100 at least, I would say.
He is on. Well, he was on 30, 22, 23. Now he is on 100.
Yeah.
So I think, adding 50 grand to that is right for the caliber of player he is. 25 years of age, a player that's really coming into his prime now as well. So if we get Eze now, we're really getting him for his prime years. So we just have to get the deal done. We have to get the deal done. He's a player that represents ambition to this football club. But the thing is about this deal and all this noise coming out now, I can't see a deal being done until England are out the Euros.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
That's also a good point. I do wonder how him being at the Euros, his full focus is going to be on that, isn't it? And he's not going to be wanting to negotiate a transfer and have his mind elsewhere while he's potentially, I don't think he's going to be starting every game, but he could be potentially called upon. At any moment, he could be in the team with injuries, or even if he earns himself a spot by playing well, by coming off the bench, he's that good. So I agree. It should have been kind of sorted out if we were serious about him before the Euros. I don't expect any serious movement. I guess the clubs can negotiate for a deal, but I can't see him really. I can't remember too many occasions where a deal gets done while it does happen, but it's rare. A deal gets done while the players are on a tournament.
Unless some talks were going on in the background and we've already sent out feelers to his camp about personal terms and about that, and it could be a formality if we can agree something with Crystal Palace.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's usually how these things are done. We don't agree. You don't usually agree a fee with the club until you've spoken to the player in the back channels and gotten a feel of what he's thinking.
And we do know, he was wined and dined at the Spurs stadium. He had a box with all his family, his friends. There seems to be some synergy there. Every time he's coming off the pitch when we play them, he seems to be very chummy, to say the least, with some of the Spurs players. So, I think it is one, though, like from his camp, from our camp, from everyone's perspective, maybe apart from Crystal Palace, it makes sense.
Definitely. Obviously, Palace are looking at the future of Guehi and Elise as well, so I'm sure they won't want to lose all 3 of them this summer. So I think it's important for Tottenham, if we're serious about him, to really get ahead of the competition, get him in early, make sure that we're making it a choice between Eze and us rather than a negotiation with Palace. If we just get that out of the way and activate the clause, then all of a sudden we could be sitting here with Eze having signed, and before the competition could even look at Guehi and Elise, which would be an unbelievable situation to be in. But Spurs are going to have to be very unlevy-like in this deal if it's going to happen, I feel. Yeah. And I feel like if we spend weeks and months, or weeks, I should say, negotiating, posturing over the few million and trying to get the money exactly right for us, then we risk potentially losing out on him, or even risk, one of the other players leaving. And I don't know how that will change it, but maybe it could change the situation.
But it works both ways, right? Because if we can get the Eze deal done quickly, and agree that fee with Palace and everything like that, then I think it could make it a lot harder for Chelsea to go and get Michael Elise, because we know that the release clause for Michael Elise is not valid for teams not in the Champions League. Yeah. So it works both ways, doesn't it?
I think so. So it's crucial, and I'm just such a big fan of Eze. I'd be so happy if we got him through the door. I think it's a real game changer, this kind of transfer. This kind of deal is a real signal of intent, and it would be a real signal that we actually are ambitious and changing the way we're approaching things and willing to put the money down if we really believe in a player. And that's going to be a real good sign. But let's hope we get it done.
All right. Make that ambition happen, Tottenham. Show that ambition. Get Eberechi Eze through the door. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.